Here at the Independence Reformed Bible Church, we do allow for questions following the morning sermon. I knew I'd be pushing it to get it done, to get everything in. But you may have some questions for me this morning. There's a lot I certainly did not cover, an awful lot. But who has questions about what I did cover, or maybe something about what I didn't cover, what we didn't cover? Yeah, Dave.
I just have one comment. You talked about human sacrifice.
Yeah.
I think your comment was that they're not, we don't have that anymore like some of these missionaries did in the past. And I would actually disagree. I would say that we just have, a surgical procedure or
Right.
We have the
Sure.
abortion holocaust. I would actually say everything you said this morning, I would echo that it is actually more fitting for America than it is for Africa. Paul blasted the Parisians. We can blast Baltimore, New York City. We can blast our own Lancaster City. We can blast our neighbors. I mean, you saw it in Africa, but if we open our eyes, it's right around us. It's our backyard.
No question about it. And you're right about the human sacrifice. Theirs was done with a screaming baby being thrown into a fire someplace. We have nice white equipment, or doctors with white outfits on, and nurses, and nice surgical equipment. Nice for everybody except for one person. True. It doesn't take long to lose our Christian heritage. It took work to build it up, and it takes work to keep it. Yeah, Jerry.
Did you guys happen to notice, did anyone who felt convicted about, being lazy and all that, did anyone come up and ask for help? Because it seems like they don't have the heritage we have, so I'm sure they don't have parents that set a good example for work ethic and things like that. Anybody come up and say, hey, you know what, you're right, I don't want to be lazy anymore, what would you recommend? Or did it seem like maybe that was falling on deaf ears a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know if it was falling on deaf ears, but when you're talking about a heritage here, and I didn't talk about this, but you can't underestimate the family, and fathers especially. I found it difficult to talk about fathers. I did spend some time talking about my own father, and the lessons I learned there. And I spent some time from Abraham talking about what a father is supposed to be, because Abraham was sort of a spiritual orphan, if you will. It said very clearly that Abraham's father did not worship Jehovah God. He worshipped other gods. And so a lot of them are orphans. I mean, they're just everywhere. The AIDS epidemic is a problem. It's a bigger problem in neighboring Zimbabwe, but it's a problem there as well. But no, we did not run into anyone like that who said that. The father figure in a lot of these cases is the guy who gets drunk, comes to our house and beats my mother and us, and then leaves again and stays drunk, and we don't see him for about a month. And I'm convinced that an awful lot of like work ethic, I mean, being basically polite, looking around, seeing what needs to be done, that's taught a lot by fathers. And without them, it's, and this is why I say the heritage. It's not just coming in and doing a theological lesson. It's going to fix everything. It's time consuming over years and years and years. And so no, we did not run into anyone like that. One thing I didn't talk about was they have schools everywhere. Schools all over the place. And it's a big thing, education, education, education. They got the uniforms, the whole thing. You know what? No one reads. They don't read. They just don't read. So with all the schooling, no one reads. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. They don't have the fear of the Lord? Oh, they can read. They just don't. Just don't read. Charles told me that when I got this, that Africans don't read. You know what? You cannot talk to them about books they've read. Among Christian people, you can talk about a book you've read, right? Did you read this? Did you see this? You talk about it. Not there. One thing that I noticed was when I had interpreters when I was speaking, and I would read. This is just the way it is in one of the language, Bimba. I would read in English, and then I got somebody to interpret. Well, the guy that was interpreting actually had to read his Bible in English and then interpret it in Bimba. He did not have a Bimba Bible even. They just aren't used to reading. I noticed that when I was in Zimbabwe as well. Even the pastors had a hard time actually reading out loud. It was very difficult for them. They don't read, even the pastors. Again, the heritage that we have, we just don't understand it. I don't. The things we've been saved from are amazing. Yeah, John.
I guess a comment slash question. I see your last point about the e-business training. I see business training as theological training. Do you agree?
Yeah, I can't argue with that point. Yeah, I can't. They need business training because of their lack of proper theology. Yeah. Yeah, your comment is like Dave's a little bit, but yeah, I can't argue with that at all. Honesty and work ethic and so forth. That is definitely theology. I have not read. Has anybody read Spencer? Is it Spencer's book, The Protestant? What's his name? Not Spencer. The Protestant Work Ethic. Max Weber. Excuse me. Has anybody seen that book or read it? The Protestant Work Ethic. Yeah, in which he argued that the progress of the West is purely based on the Protestant work ethic. That's what he argued, and it's not a paperback book. This is a serious book that he wrote. A lot of secular people do not appreciate it. They don't like it. But you have a book like the Protestant Work Ethic. He's definitely connected, and I don't even know if he was a believer himself. But he's definitely connect. When you say Protestant work ethic, you're definitely connecting theology with a work ethic, with the title of a book like that. Yeah, it was Reformed theology, exactly. Because he's staying away from, it was the Reformation. He's not talking about the Roman Catholic work ethic. He's talking about the Protestant work ethic. Who else has a question? Yeah, John, and then Dave.
At the risk of sounding like a nudge, what was it a worthwhile trip? Would you do this again, given the challenges, the lack of enthusiasm on the part of the hearer? Are we beating our heads against the wall there? Do we have, to Dave's point, are we better off working here since we have the same problems here? How do we justify foreign missions when we have a mission here?
Right. A couple ways. First of all, I mean, the benefit to me is pretty substantial. To look at that and to be so grateful for what I've had. I'll answer it this way: somebody needs to do that work, whether or not it's me from the U.S. or not. Somebody needs to do it. I did ask Ron. And he got a little bit, I don't know if I might have mentioned this to you, I don't know. I asked Ron before I went, and some of my supporters are here in this room, so they need to hear this. I said, why me? Aren't there other people who can say what I want to say? And what he said was, here in Africa, we don't have people that'll tell them what they need to hear. They'll just tell them that they just need to believe in Jesus, and then they'll go back and they'll take pictures, and I could have done it. I didn't do it. I could have done it. I want you to know that I could have had those pictures with those smiling little kids that are filled up on Facebook photos. And you know what I'm talking about. I could have done it. There were times I came out from speaking, it was dark, and these kids are just everywhere. They're just no parents, nothing. And they're just smiling at you. And I did take some pictures of them, and they just thought that was the greatest thing to have their picture taken or whatever. That's how you raise money, right? You take the picture with the kids, you show everybody how little they have, and just say, I'm going to fix this for them send money. That's what you do. In Zimbabwe, worse, but it's still, there's a Christian bookstore there. I wouldn't give you a nickel for any of the books there at all. And so what Ron was saying was we need teachers here, and we just don't have them. And that certainly does appear to be the case. So I don't think it's a worthless mission at all. For me, is it worthwhile? I don't know if they could get somebody closer. Maybe you could use your money a little bit better. But I think the mission itself, I think it's no different. I mean, can you imagine Paul telling Titus, go establish a church in Crete? Sounds like a waste of time. I'd be saying, how about if I go someplace else? But Crete needed the gospel, just like these folks need the gospel. Somebody needs to do it. That's the way I see it.
I guess my point is that when Paul was sending out missionaries and going out as a missionary, this was brand new. There were no Christians in Crete. There were no Christians in Rome. There were none.
Yeah.
There are Christians in Africa. And, it's a question of, do they need to get the job done, or do they actually need people coming there from elsewhere? When Harry went to India, there were no Christians there.
Right.
Hudson Taylor goes to China, there were no Christians. That's hardly true anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just a point.
Yeah. It's a fair point. I don't think that Africa is burned over in the sense of the Charles Finney sense of burning over, and they don't want to hear it anymore. In fact, you and I think, Sweets, you and I were talking about this. We're talking about the fact that, I mentioned again this morning, I believe our mission approach, because Zambia has declared itself a Christian nation, under Chiluba back in the 90s, our approach to missions has not been, especially when we run into this kind of thing, has not been what Paul has said to do. I'd like to see at least a generation of missionaries practice Paul's approach. Might be tough to raise money, though. Might be difficult. Yes, Dave.
John actually addressed some of what I was going to say, but I think our problem might be that Americans, modern evangelicals, have actually done more harm than good by taking the gospel of those countries before they were ready. It's like,
how do you mean by taking it before they're ready?
Well, I think the way that a lot of them, they've declared themselves Christian nations, but I don't think they have a clue what that means. They don't have a clue what that means to take dominion. They have this watered down, you said it yourself, they walk around, they're lazy. That's not Christian. That's not Christian.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think the problem is they might claim the name of Christ, but what they really need is Christ.
Yeah,
So the whole thing about the modern missionaries, the way we've done it in the past, maybe they were just wrong, and we've done more harm than good.
A lot of harm's been done. More harm than good, I maybe don't know. But I mean, you talk about, like Paul says to rebuke. I'll never forget, I don't know how Carey had the courage to do this, but the first time William Carey saw Sati widow burning, he tried to stop it. He tried to stop himself and raise his voice about it. Now, you're talking about a custom that's very old and going back a long time. Who knows what could have happened to him because of that. But I've read, I mean, if you read from modern missionary journals, modern missionary conferences, it's not about that kind of an approach. It's about, I'm telling you, I've read this stuff. It's about assimilating their God. Don't go into a new country and attack their gods. Don't do that. You learn how to work with their gods and present Jesus with it. That's what's happening. It's definitely not. It's getting worse that way. But we've been doing that for quite a while. So missionaries that do that kind of stuff clearly have done more harm than good. We don't need syncretism. We need contrast. Yeah,
Is
Marissa.
there a way to send support to those guys out in the bush?
I don't know. I don't know.
There's just no trustworthy person to get them money over there.
There's that problem. And guys like that are used to like pinching every penny and stuff, I'm not sure how to support them. They're the kind of guys, if they see someone else, and this may be a good thing, I don't know, if they see someone else that needs it worse than they do, they'll give it to them. They're those kind of people. In the case of Grant Schaefer, his house on the outside looks like a dump. The inside looks pretty nice. His wife apparently has a lot of skill, and it looks like a nice set, but it's really pretty small. But I don't actually know how to help guys like that exactly. I don't know how to do it. I'd like to visit him sometime, see what he's doing. But he and John Leach are way on the outskirts, way far away from everything. Good questions. I certainly want to thank you for your kind attention here this morning, Wes.